They are so obnoxious, not only to the people out front, but to those of us backstage. When I send people out for curtain calls, our artists, I am all too well aware of who's organized what and for whom, and why there should be discrimination because one person has paid this group to support them. It is absolutely regrettable and deplorable that we have resorted to this now and have been booing in this theater, which I feel is not only bad manners in the worst form, because for me, having been an artist for many, many years, I think the most devastating thing that can ever happen to a performer is absolute silence. And I think it's much, much better manners to be quiet than to scream and boo someone who has performed.
Ah.
You're here.
Well, I think you had a lot of agreement there, too. In other words, you don't think it's really Americans, it is
Americans are not
organized
I'm sorry, Americans
thing.
are not stupid. They have been polite on many instances when they recognized the fact that an artist was in difficulties. And they have tried to encourage them. I will accept this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they are doing the applause just because they feel they have to do it. They're doing it because they want to on those occasions.
Yes. Mr. Weaver?
Well, I was just going to say that since it's a question, part of the question was, are they different abroad?
Yes.
I would say that they are indeed different. I mean, a certain kind of wild but rather disciplined enthusiasm I don't often hear it in Italy or in London or other countries where I go. On the other hand, I don't mean that the audiences there are any more intelligent or any more stupid than here. It's just a question, I think, of fashion also.
Yes, Mr. Mohr?
Well, in line with what Mr. Hawkins has said, too, I agree with the clack idea, but at the same time, equally bad, and in some instances worse, I think, are the organized fan clubs that follow a particular artist, because while these people are not being paid by the artist, they are completely undiscriminating just because they love that artist to excess, and it makes no difference to them whether the artist is having one of the greatest triumphs of its career, or it's on an off night, or maybe it should have retired 5 years previously. They carry on until it gets to a fever pitch of hysteria, and you can't even enjoy what you're attending.
Yes, it can be very disturbing. Mr.
May I?
Hawkins?
Forgive me. I would like to add one thing further in this discussion about the claqueurs, because there has been intimidation with many of our artists who have arrived at this theater. And it has been utterly impossible for some of these people to step on their stage without being in constant fear of being booed unless they paid. I know of one artist, when she arrived here, who was approached, and I don't think Miss Birgit Nielsen would mind my using her name. This artist, this great artist, was so adamant that I think that claqueur went out with his tail between his legs. Otherwise, she would have thrown him out on his head, and to this day, she has never been booed, to my knowledge.
I haven't dared to. Mr. Lawrence?
Well, there's one other element mixed up in this, too, and I've noted this just for the past 10 years or so, and that is that so many of these people in the audience seem to be giving the performance themselves afterwards. And if you think it's bad in the opera house, you should go to certain concert performances of opera in this city, where they practically sing arias all by themselves in their seats.
We seem to have struck a rich mine of comment, Mr. Hawkins.
Mr. Downs, I would like to add one thing further. Apropos, this is apropos the theaters in Europe. I have attended and been in many of the German theaters. There is a difference, too, in loyalty. Some of their artists who have been singing for years and years and years and are not quite ready for retirement, they should have been retired years before, but the fact is that under their retirement plan, they must remain a certain number of years. The loyalty of the public there, they remember what these artists have been, and I was at performances where the artists had no voice whatsoever. And yet, at curtain calls, they received ovations. But this is primarily loyalty.
Yes, and gratitude for past performance.
They remembered what they had done.
Yes. Here's a different question from Mrs. Altine Black.